My name is Tsai Hsi Hung. I'm from Taiwan. I'm a graduate at Taipei University of the Arts. And I traveled to New York 2013 until right now. And I'm very happy to and very appreciate to working with the Milwaukee Ballet. Yeah, and also I'm also as a painter too. Yeah. Actually, the first thing I like painting first. I want to paint, but that time my mom said no. So I tried to figure it out. I need to try my way because I don't like to study. So that time, for some reason I started to dance ballet first. A lot of years from when I was 6, 7 until like right now. So when I was a kid, I loved to create. So once I start to professional create is when I in university. When we graduate, you need a choreo piece. Officially, I start to my own piece is like 2020. Yeah, I start I still very new. I still try something more kind of I can feel, oh, that's my style, oh, that's what I want. Every time I create a new piece, it's like painting. When I painting and I don't think that much, I just freestyle to kind of play around so you can find the answer or image there. So when I work any piece, I can see some different than before. So I really kind of very excited. So yeah, I think that's the part I'm really interested for. This piece name called The Living Quality because I love one of my favorite artists, Francis Bacon. He have one kind of collection self-portrait, and then the name is called The Living Quality. And I studied a little bit, and I kind of realized his painting the feel touched me so much, and also my painting work also kind of self-portrait, and I also use a lot of brush stroke. And I think about this long time ago, I have a lot of collection piece. It's kind of like a self-portrait, like 2001 or 2002, something like that. So I kind of want to make one spatial for Milwaukee Ballet. So the first thing I think about, okay, yes, I think I will make 3D painting with Milwaukee Ballet. It's like, when you it's the big canvas, the studio looks like a big canvas, and then you can see the dancer is kind of material goes on. And then when I paint, brush and the color mix sometimes together. I tell the dancers choose one picture of one of my painting. They have it, I give them. And then I tell them to first thing is feel this image, and it's all self-portrait from different. I think it's 10 faces, and I tell them to feel. If you don't feel, you can see the color. If you still don't have any feel, you can drawing with me. Same, just feel that drawing, that brush stroke. And after that, I tell them to make the solo with my painting. So once we have some material, I kind of put together, and then to see that's work or not. So from day 1 to day 2, I kind of want to know each dancer's personality and the style is, because I don't know him before. So once I know them more, it's day 3, I think. And then the Milwaukee Ballet dancers all talent, and then they try so hard. They're also very good for conversation too, and then everything is so good. So I'm really happy to work with them. This composer is very amazing, Taiwanese composer. His name is Tsai Hsi Hung, and it's first time I work with him. We never talked before, but we know each other. One day I just go to his album, his music company. I just hear some of little music. I feel like, yes, I think it's him. So I contact him. I say, okay, I gonna create one piece. You wanna join me? And then I kind of talk about what kind of style I like it. and then he give me some like a reference, and then just we are the same page. I wish every audience can feel different feeling, because everybody have a different personality, and then you will catch which part you like it. But the final thing, I want the audience to feel release. You know, life is really hard. My parents always tell me one Taiwanese words. She say something like, 你的人生若咧头前的时阵，你爱磨较久咧，后壁你就会慢慢啊顺啊。That means it's like when you was young, you might gonna feel all the time. So you need to take that experience, and then after that you will getting better. My parents always tell me that, because we text, because they're all in Taiwan. So we don't talk that much, and then every time I feel like I more depressed or something, they will cheer me up, you know. So I kind of want to make the piece have energy and powerful, and feel, you know, release, something like that.
Hey, I'm Jack Lister. I'm an Australian dancer and choreographer, and I'm very excited and humbled to be here in Milwaukee for the Genesis program. The work that we're building, I've decided to call Mr. Sheen, which is actually a cleaning product. I don't know if you have that in the US. Yeah, so it cleans, it polishes, it shines, it makes things perfect. And I guess what we're trying to do is tell the story of imperfection, tell the story of what lives beneath through the vehicle of Mr. Sheen. Everybody's becoming Mr. Sheen. Everybody's becoming this entity, and he is the entertainer, the chauvinist, the extrovert, the good time guy. But the work serves as a bit of a vehicle, or Mr. Sheen serves as a bit of a vehicle to sort of unpack us as humans and look at the gloss, but then very much look at the undercurrent at the same time, and how those two things, for a lot of us, live quite coherently a lot of the time. Musically, this is still a bit of a developing beast. I wanted to find a few tracks that we could sort of hold the work. It's a mishmash of things that are really old, things that are nostalgic, spoken word, text, monologue, and then very electronic, very hard-hitting, very fast-paced music. So it's a big nostalgic nod, I guess, to kind of the entertainers, the showmen, the TV hosts of the 60s and 70s. We sort of work in that era, but we bring Mr. Sheen into today through another realm of music. I guess I've been looking at like Frank Sinatra live at the Sands, doing a Vegas residency. If you listen to him do some of his monologues while people are having dinner or the band's taking a break, he is just Mr. Entertainer. So the casting process for this project is unusual in a sense, just literally plucked at random from a hat, but I think that's kind of exciting, and that's really informed how I've stepped into the creation of this. I sometimes like to be a lot more prepared or have a lot more scope around the type of work I might create. Yeah, getting started is always the hardest part, just because it's like a first date with 8 people. With this work, we kind of we came together over something I'd just recently learned from a friend of mine who's a great composer, a percussionist. So we worked a lot with rhythm and creating body rhythms and understanding how we can unpack rhythms, and that's been a really great tool to help build choreography as well. So we introduced ourselves to one another through rhythm and finding body percussion and things like that, which is a great bend for the brain and for the body. My process always changes. I'm still dancing, I'm still working with a lot of people, I'm still picking up things choreographically. Every work that I'm making has got a whole different set of tools that I use to make it. I don't like to dictate too much. I love to build, I love to direct, I love to create something that's uniquely our own world with this work. But I think with that, I can't purely do that myself. I also need them to come to the table, because inevitably that's the product that you're getting. So I like the layering. Classical ballet is my lineage and it's where I've come from and everything, but I do struggle with making sense of an arabesque, meaning such longing or such love, when there is something more simple or something more human to be doing that with. I like to bring speaking monologues, I like to bring visual aids, I like to bring scenes from films, and then try and use those things that are probably used in a lot more of a dramatic sense back into the room and go, okay, how do we do this with our bodies? How we try and distill what that whole person was saying, which we can directly take and put into a body, which we then have to interpret and try and do the same thing. I think this Genesis program is cool because I think it's been nice to sort of feel like this is time to play and this is time to see what comes to the surface. This isn't time to try and make my masterpiece or make my huge thing. This is time to get to know people, do something that we can both learn from and create. I think what's also quite great about this is the versatility of choreographers that they're bringing in. We're three very different people from different parts of the world, which actually mean huge seismic things in the dance world. So getting to learn to work with American dancers and their style and their articulation and the speed at which they can work actually is a really nice thing. There's all these different lineages that then sort of come into the room and their own lived experiences as human beings and my own experience, and then there's also this, we're just in a creation, so there's a whole other thing that we're doing on top of that. I think recently with a lot of the work that I've been making or thinking about making, a lot of my driver has been to entertain people. And I sort of was at combat with myself with that for a while, thinking that there's not enough depth to that concept, but I think there is. I think there's enough darkness that goes on in our world. I think there's enough darkness that goes on internally with ourselves. I think if I'm able to pull somebody out of the craziness of what happens on the street and put them into a different craziness in a theatre, I'm just as happy with that. And I think that's sort of what I'm craving to watch at the moment. I want to watch something that I can laugh at, something that I can sort of be hit with, something that's intense, something that's tender, and something that I can decipher for myself if I want. But I think that's a good piece of entertainment. It doesn't mean that it's a light or fluffy thing. I think it's a vehicle to hold a myriad of things.
I'm Lorenzo di Loreto, and I'm a dancer and choreographer. I've danced most of my career at the Royal Danish Ballet in Copenhagen, where I've also started choreographing. Right now I'm living in Italy just to reconnect with my roots a little bit and also open my mind to creativity in the land where I was born and raised. I think the first, about dance, me and dance, it was just a first impulse that it cannot be explained, it's just in there. I do think, although it is a visual art form, I think that with music it just completes it. So you have hearing with music and you also have the visuals with the sight, and it is a combination that really works very well, and it's worked for many years, and that can really move something into people. My favorite part about creating new work is definitely the connection with the dancers, and the studio time, getting in the studio and finally start to build those ideas that I had in mind, and together with the dancers. I believe that choreography is a giving and take relationship in the studio with the dancers, and so I like to explore also their behaviors and how they get movement and how their body respond The inspiration that I have, it mostly comes from music, most of the time. And also this time around, it came from my love for music. And then that is what drives me at first impact to create something. In this case, I'm using Baroque music, so it's classical music, but I think that Baroque music is well, it's so grandiose and opulent, like its design and its era, and it has a lot of different alternations in tempo, which make it really interesting to work with, and it's also fun. It's also what's interesting about Baroque is that, first of all, it's the Baroque courts in Paris. These are the places where ballet and dance, ballet most of all, originated. When we look at history at court, all the power dynamics, the love affairs, and all this kind of all these psychological dynamics that are actually present also nowadays. So it is interesting for me to notice how, although times change and societies change, actually the behavioral pattern of the humankind kind of stay the same, because they're so primal to our nature. I'm finding ways to give personalities to the dancers, and also looking at their personality and how they're behaving, and trying to spot like their real personalities and trying to fit them somehow in the piece. That is actually the most challenging part. And I'm trying to find little narratives here and there that give out some characterizations and personality. So it's just really playful and fun, and I hope that will come through. I think big classical works or past works, I think that it's good to keep doing them. They are obviously very challenging, some of them. It's good for practicing the technique, but I think it is important to commission, for the companies to commission new work, because it just keeps the evolution of the art form going, and also it keeps the creativity going, which is one of, I truly believe that it's one of the most important things we have at any level in any job. I usually tend to explore deeper realms of existentialism when I do choreographies, but this time around, also a little bit because of the format, I wanted to make something more simple and light. I hope the audience will just experience an eye-pleasing, aesthetical piece. There's point work, so the female dancers have point shoes on, and I don't necessarily want it to be too funny, but I hope they just leave the theater with a smile on their faces, and without too much to think about.